On behalf of Hopkins Farm Broadcast, thank you for tuning in. I'm here with Tim Harwell, and I understand we might be getting a promotion or a demotion. I don't know which way you want to take it.
Well, since the announcement when the board appointed me as the next superintendent, I've had some come up to me and say, I don't know whether to say congratulations or condolences,
Exactly.
One or the other. But no, I'm excited about it.
Well, good.
I am. I love this county, and I love public education, and being a teacher in a classroom or an assistant principal or a principal, and now assistant principal. I can't imagine, my life being any different, and I've always appreciative to Bedford County and how they have adopted. I'm not a native son here, but I feel like I am now because I've been here for almost 27 years. But I'm excited.
Well, that's good. Now, you've been principal and assistant principal at several different schools.
Yes, sir.
Which one schools? I know we're talking about Cascade.
Yeah. I'll just walk you through it. Started my career in 1999 as a 8th grade social studies teacher at Harris Middle School. The principal at the time was Terry Saylor. Terry had been principal. Well, he was principal for Harris Middle for over 20 years. Oh, yeah. He's kind of a legend in the admin. Oh, yeah. World here in Bedford County. But he gave me an opportunity in 1999, and I was a social studies teacher. I helped coach football. I was head football coach of the Harris Middle School team for a couple of years, and then one day Mr. Saylor knocks on my door and asked me to if I would be interested in being his assistant principal. Yeah. So really thought long and hard about that, Benny, because I really love the classroom. Right. I mean, number one, I love history. I love talking about it. And I love just trying to get students excited about history. That was my number one goal, and I felt like I was effective in that. And then I get that knock on the door. So it wasn't an easy decision to step out of the classroom, but my wife, who loved dearly and always a big part of my decision making, she said, you have that impact on those students. Think about having a similar impact
on the whole school.
On the whole school, So was Mr. Saylor's assistant principal for a couple of years. Then I transitioned to principal at Liberty. I was a principal at Liberty School for 3.5 years, and loved that school. I was able to cut my teeth as a new principal. Not only, it was a K through 8 school, Benny, so I was able to get elementary experience as a principal. I already had middle school experience, but I was able to get that elementary experience at Liberty, and I really value that.
Yeah, because them younger kids, they're so much fun.
Oh, yeah, man. And, the thing about it is that, they're so innocent and just a willingness to learn and getting those hugs every day, because those kids have no problem about coming, and hugging you and everything like that. So I love that aspect of it, and just seeing, in particular, at the elementary level, the learning to read process. That always, seeing a child coming in to a classroom not being able to read, and by the end of the year, it's almost like a miracle at times how our teachers can get that student to that point of not being able to read toward their reading sentences, that, and seeing that progression. I've always loved that aspect of learning, but so from there, Mr. Gray appointed me principal of what was going to be, what was a new concept, and that was Thomas Magnet School. Okay. So in 2009, I was the first principal of Thomas Magnet School, and getting that program up off the ground for high achieving students here in Bedford County. That's one of the, if I'm looking at my career, that's probably one of my most fond memories now, is getting that program up and going, and creating a faculty and staff that could meet the needs of high achieving students. And we have one of those students over there. Yeah, I know. And he's a product of Thomas Magnet School, and just proud of that. We were able to get the National Blue Ribbon Award, which is the highest award you can get in the nation. So as a result of the data and we were able to do with our students there. And from Thomas Magnet School, at the time, Dr. Buthram was our superintendent. He calls me and asked me if I would be interested in becoming the principal at Cascade High School. Miss Edwards had announced her retirement or resignation, and so he and I had a prior conversation. I had expressed to him at some point I would like to get some high school experience, so he provided that experience, and I was there for 5 years. A great community. You know, I know you have two. You mentioned
grandkids. Yes.
I mean, it's you know, you talk about a tight-knit community that really emphasizes and prioritizes education.
Yes.
You know, from Cascade Elementary to middle to high school.
And they've won several awards.
Reward schools. And at the time I was principal over there, we shared the building with the middle school. You know, so, and that was a challenge. You know, that was a challenge, and we were bursting at the seams. At one point in time, Benny, we had 14 classrooms and portables out there.
Yeah, I remember all the portables.
Oh, yeah, we had Portable City out there, man.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a lot of portables, and there's just, you know, you got to do what you got to do. You got to put students somewhere, but it was always a safety concern, transition concerns. And so one of the biggest things I felt like that we were able to accomplish in my 5 years there was really expressing the need of a new Cascade High School. Yeah. And so the last couple of years I was there, that 4th year and 5th year, a big part of my job was expressing that need, inviting county commissioners over, you know, and just showing them transitions and how tight our hallways were, and just showing the conditions of the portables. And I'm just very grateful that our county commission, you know, approved the funding to build that new Cascade High School. And that was the last year I was there. So I was able to work with John Davis in the design on that new school. But unfortunately, I was never able, because the next year I became principal at Shelbyville Central. But I always go into Cascade High School, and I'm just very proud to look around and just see a beautiful school.
It is great.
You know, and students continuing just to, you know, strive for excellence out there. Sandy Sorrells, the current principal out there, is outstanding. She's done a great job of maintaining the excellence of that school. So Mr. Emery knocked on my door and asked me if I'd be interested in moving to Shelbyville Central High School. And quite different from Cascade in a lot of ways. Number one, 3 times the size.
I was going to say more people.
More, you know, going from a 500 student school to a 1,500 student school. A big difference. Demographics definitely more diverse, but you know, I've always liked a challenge, you know. I mean, I always, because that's how I grow as a person, is sometimes you just got to be pushed and get out of your comfort zone, because I'll be honest, I was pretty comfortable at Cascade High.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, things were rocking and rolling, scores were good, graduation rates were good, but I knew if I wanted to grow as an educator, that Central would be a great opportunity to grow.
Yeah, because you do, when you have as many students as they have, you have to sort of, as they say, step up to the plate. And when you step up to the plate, you're going to have a lot more challenges that you don't think about because of the diversity. And so you have to deal with all that stuff, and getting kids educated is the principle, you know. And you know, that to me, that would be a hard job, just because I know when I went to school, of course I went to a private school and went to a public school too. Like the private school, public school was a little rough, but you know, you learn every time you move to a different location. You learn, and you learn how to deal with people, and you get a little better knowledge of how people, because people are not all the same.
No, we were talking about that earlier, right?
They aren't all the same, and you know, you have to sort of be a mediator, a negotiator, and everything in between.
Well, I said this before: people be peopling. You know, exactly. I mean, you know, it's just, and when you know, Shelbyville Central's like a small city.
It is.
You know, Scott Johnson would say all the time, he says, Tim, do you realize you have more people under your charge at any one point in time to anybody in this county.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But
it's a big challenge.
When you think about the student population and you add over 100 faculty and staff, that is the case, and it is a small city. And
now at Central, how many SROs do they have there?
Currently, they have 3.
I knew they had to have more
Yes,
than one.
Yes, sir. They have 2 on the main campus, and they have 1 at the CTE annex.
Okay.
And like I was telling you guys earlier, throughout the day, it's a very challenging school logistically, to run. But we, and Charlie Pope's doing a great job right now out there. But just day-to-day operations of that school presents challenges. You have part of the school that was renovated, in the 2000s, and then you have the school that was originally built in the 1970s, and in the 1970s, Benny, they were not building schools necessarily with safety and because we didn't have all the
stuff
that we have right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
With school shootings and things like that. So that school is a challenge in that regard as well. But yeah, it was a challenge. But like I said, I really, I entertain those challenges, and try to overcome them and make them no longer challenges, but some things that we can turn that school around. And fortunately, we were able to improve the culture there. We were able to improve our scores there, and they're maintaining that. And so that was the fourth school I was principal of, and the opportunity came up when Mr. Embry decided to retire. I put my name in the hat for the superintendent at the time. That's almost 5 years ago, and I came second in the votes at that point in time. Dr. Garrett was announced as the next superintendent. And then not too long after that, I get a phone call from her, and she asked if I would consider being her assistant superintendent. And I took that opportunity, not knowing if she and I would be able to work together.
Right. You never know when you meet a new person.
Right. And you were talking about personalities.
Yeah.
You never know if you're going to be able to G-haul with people.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But we were. We shared a lot of the same philosophies. Educational philosophies, and just how we want to care for people, and but also run a very efficient school system. And she's a great leader. I just thank for the blessing to be able to work under her and learn under her. And she's always been able she's always made a point and been very intentional of teaching me the ropes, and really now, since the announcement's been made, we're knee deep in budget right now, and we're getting ready for the 26-27 school year, and having a budget that's going to be able to maintain what we need to do, in our school system. So we're knee deep in it right now. We have a budget study work session with our school board right before our board meeting. We have a board meeting tonight, and so we're meeting at 4:30, going over the budget. Be meeting with Robert Daniel. The school budget's over $100 million. 80%, or a little over 80% of that is personnel. Yeah. Going through all those line items personnel-wise, and what do we do with the other 20-something% of that budget? And that, talking about challenges.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That can be a challenge, knowing where our needs are, and everything costs money in most cases.
Yeah.
And so, working with our county commissioner, our county commission, and our mayor, because they are the ones that approve the budget.
Right.
So it's but once again, I love that challenge of it and working through that, and so that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And going back to the budget, it's I had an opportunity, Dr. Garrett. This is just part of the transition and the opportunity she provided a couple of weeks ago. She had contacted the state and asked the state if I could go ahead and be a part of the new superintendent academy that the state has.
Right.
So they have two different sessions. They have one at in the first semester of a first superintendent's year, and they have one second semester. So I was coming out in the second semester. So I was kind of the oddball of the group, but I was able to sit down with 12 or 13 first-year superintendents. And learn from them. Hey, man, what's been your biggest learning curve? Right. What's been your biggest challenge? So I've been able to glean from them before I even officially take the seat, And then after that, there was a legislative conference with all the superintendents in the state, and I was able to network with them. And so she's provided an opportunity for me to kind of get ahead of the game a little bit.
Your feet wet.
Yes, sir.
You step into the full
full
thing.
Right. Yes, sir.
Well, Chase, let's take a 1-minute break, and we'll be right back.
Kincaid's is proud to offer Beauty Rest Black to our customers. Beauty Rest Black represents a leap forward in bedding with sleep climate technology keeping you cool and triple-stranded pocketed coils to give you luxurious support all night long. Wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day with a new Beauty Rest Black mattress from Kincaid Service Company. 400 Madison Street, Shelbyville, across from the Speedway gas station. 931-684-5662.
Your eyes are a precious thing. You've got to take care of them. Looking for clear vision and hometown care you can trust? See the difference at Dr. Dale Hasty Family Eye Care, 605 North Main Street in Shelbyville, across from the U.S. Post Office. From comprehensive eye exams to helping you find that perfect pair of glasses, Dr. Hasty and his friendly team are focused on your family's vision and comfort every step of the way. Noticing changes in your eyesight? Time for that yearly checkup? Let's take care of it. 931-684-2020. Proud sponsor of the WLIJ Easter Basket Giveaway. Stop by their location today and register to win.
All right, this is Benny Pulley, behalf of Hopkins Broadcasting. I'm here with Tim Harwell, the future superintendent of school, but he's in his, as they say, training position right now.
Right.
So we were just talking while we were on break, and we were talking about a new security thing you've got. So tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, we have at all three of our high schools, Community High, Cascade High, and Shelbyville Central, we have installed flock safety cameras.
Okay.
And what that is, and that's not unusual, this is a system that is nationwide.
Okay.
If high schools agreed to be a part of it, and there are high schools throughout the nation that have installed these type of cameras. And what they are, Benny, they're outside cameras, and they monitor the traffic that come in and out of schools. And what they do, they can track a license plate.
Yeah.
And why would you do that? Well, in this day and age.
Oh, yeah. I know where you're going.
In this day and age, number one, if we had a student that went missing, during the school day, and if for some reason someone from the outside came in, picked up that student, we would be able to track that traffic coming in and out of our three campuses, hopefully get a tag number. Once that tag number is received, it goes out nationwide.
Right.
Kind of like the
Amber Alert.
You know what I mean? Kind of in that ballpark, as far as getting information out as soon as possible. Right. So we installed it for that. And also, unfortunately, if something happened on campus and an outsider came in, we would be able to better monitor, how that happened.
Yeah.
If they came in on a vehicle, be able to track that vehicle, hopefully. So we're continuing to try our best to provide layers of security for our buildings. I think Dr. Garrett, I'm pretty sure Dr. Garrett in some previous, interviews has talked about our vestibule project.
Right.
We have 9 schools, and this project is getting ready to happen construction-wise. We got 9 schools in which we are creating security vestibules. So when you walk into a building, that you do not, since all of our schools have access entries where you have to buzz in.
They won't let you in.
Yeah, they won't let you in from the outside until you state your purpose, show your ID. Now, our newer schools have these catch points, these vestibules, our newer schools, because our newer schools are built with security in mind.
Yeah, the new Cascade
Yes,
High.
sir. Okay. Cascade High
I've
would
been
be
through that one a couple of times.
Yes, sir. Cartwright Elementary would be another, example of a recent school that's been built with that in mind. Harris, Harris has been around a while, but they have a catch. Their learning way. Some of our newer buildings have that. Community high school has that, but 9 of our schools don't.
Right.
So what that means that once you buzz in our older schools that don't have vestibules, once you buzz that, you're cleared to come in, and then you have access
to everything.
To everything.
Where the other one keeps everything shut off.
It keeps you contained. Another layer of security. If there's any suspicious activity, anything, we have that person, contained there. There was actually an incident, I believe in Texas, a couple of weeks ago, where a school had that catch point, that vestibule. They were concerned about some things they saw in that individual. And an individual could not go anywhere, and the SRO come find out that individual did not have the best intentions in mind.
Oh, wow.
Once they got in mind, and without that catch point. So we directed some of our grant money and some of our budgeted money towards creating those 9 vestibules. And
now most of them, I know, after that incident down there in Nashville, are they putting in the bulletproof glass or the shatterproof glass?
In most of our new schools, definitely. That's put into place. These vestibules will have that.
Because I can see that being a real necessity, especially with somebody with a gun already.
No doubt about it. It's there's no perfect system. Even all these layers, but the more you can put into place that will discourage that individual, or at least detain them, because seconds matter.
Oh, it does, especially in an incident like that. Because, they can fire several rounds in just a minute.
Right. That's right.
Now, I know, because we were part of it just here recently, that you did a practice run out at Liberty.
Yes, sir.
With an incident. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. Overall, we think it very well. The scenario, Benny, was that there was a gas leak.
Okay.
Being at Liberty, I know this, and it's one of the first questions I asked when I there's a major gas line that goes across that property at Liberty.
Gotcha.
And so we went through the scenario. Let's say that there's a leak, and we have to get our students off of that campus.
Gotcha.
So that was the scenario we went through. Now, students were not in session. We used teachers in the role of students. We used teachers in the role of parents.
Okay.
And so, and we used some of our teachers just to be able to manage the students and manage the parents as they were reunifying with their child. And overall went well. Thank you, God, for good weather that day. We had a perfect day to do that. We really, once that drill is over, we debrief. I know our central office team has already had a debriefing, but we're going to have another debrief with our other county agencies that was involved. Our fire department was involved. Our city, Shelbyville City, was involved. Sheriff's Department was involved. And that's the great thing I love about Bedford County. Man, I'm telling you, when we need all of us to work together,
that's
happens.
when they came to us, and we said we could handle it,
from your communication.
So what we decided to do, we just, through the practice runs, and by y'all getting practice in case it actually happens, we're all prepared to be able to handle it.
And you're right. Your ability to be able to communicate, is vital.
Oh, yeah.
In that, because you can only imagine the parents' mind frame, when all that's going on. So the better, concisely we can communicate with our parents in particular, it's going to be beneficial. And we thank y'all for
we appreciate
being
able to do it, because it's something to help our community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because I'm a parent, grandparent, and I want my kids safe.
Right. Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Definitely. And so in that debriefing, and I was on site at both locations. I started my day at Liberty to see how all that went, you know. And by the time I got there, they had already had the students out of the building. We had them in a central location at the football field in order for them to get ready to be picked up by the buses.
Yeah, and y'all were moving them to another location.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We were moving them to Southside.
Okay.
And that was going to be the reunification.
Yeah.
But you have to have another location.
Right.
We had Southside Baptist Churches, which is right across the street from Southside Elementary. Southside Baptist Churches were the point of where parents were directed for us to check.
Make sure there's who
are you the parent?
Yeah.
Let's confirm that. Once we confirm that, then we would release vehicles in waves over to the reunification spot at Southside. Right? Yeah. So being at both sites, and I want to give a shout out to Chad Fletcher because he's our safety director. He does a fantastic job, along with some other hats that he wears for our district, but he does a great job. But he and I were in particular discussing just what we were seeing, at the reunification. We saw some things. I'm not going to go into detail, but there were some things with the reunification that we can do better here. Yeah. There's some things we need to clean up. For example, just walkies. We found out at that particular system, our walkies were not working like they should. And so we had to figure out, why is that not happening? And then from there we had to go, okay, they're not working, what do we do next? Right. So if we didn't have drills like this, we wouldn't be prepared for plan Bs.
Yeah, that is the key, because this is the second time y'all have done it. And the key is to practice it. So when it does happen, it runs pretty smooth.
That's right.
And we can get all the kinks out now.
That's right.
Even for us, we have to make sure we've got everything going like it's supposed to.
And we prepared for it to the extent because, people are different. And they react to things differently, in particular in a stressful situation. People sometimes can lose their minds.
Because we announced several times this is a test.
So we had intentionally have some of our teachers play the role of an upset, irate parent. To see how our people are going to be able to process that.
That's good.
We're trying. I know that our fire department they pulled 5 students out of the mix to see how we were going to respond when we couldn't locate those 5 students. Now, some of those students, and remember, this is a drill. We got to be prepared. In this scenario, they were injured. And they had already been taken somewhere to address medical ER for medical services. So we had to work around that. And 4 out of the 5 we did well, and we were able to identify. But there was one that we were what happened? What happened? And that's good. We shouldn't be too upset when things don't go exactly the way they are supposed to go in the drill. That's how we learn.
Exactly. And the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. It'll become sort of second nature. Like, and I know that y'all did it at Cascade, tornadoes. They get them to the hallway, everybody get in the hallway, get hunkered down, you learn how to do it. If you do it enough, and like when I was going to school, it was fire drills. Everybody line up, singing, we march out.
Well, now there's all kinds of drills. We are mandated, and I totally understand from the state, we are mandated by the state to do a certain number of fire drills, a certain number of armed intruder drills, a certain number of lockdown drills. With our Raptor alert system, it's not uncommon. It's almost every day now that our schools are doing a type of drill, and when they do that drill, they alert everyone else to this Raptor alert system.
Right.
And it's not uncommon to be at the central office. We're in there in a meeting, and every one of our phones
go off.
are going off. And the first thing we look at, Benny, we go, is it a drill?
Yeah.
If it's a drill, we go, all right, we can move on. If it's not, we get into action.
Yeah.
Normally Chad Fletcher's the first on the scene. We're communicating with him, what's going on. For example, we had a fire alarm that went off at Aiken. What's today? Thursday. It was earlier this week, and drill was not on there, so Chad went out there. I called Chad, what's going on? He goes, we have not detected a fire yet, but we have all of our kiddos outside. Everyone's outside. Fire department's on their way. Meanwhile, just giving suggestions as soon as we find out. In particular, we want to make sure our big area, as far as in that case at Aiken, their gym, right? Because it was a cold day. And unless if there's not a fire inside that gym,
right,
let's get them outside, get them from outside in to where we can,
keep them warm.
Keep them warm.
Yeah.
Once we've detected that there's no danger, right? And it come to find out it was just a false alarm. And but we once again that gave us practice.
Well, we got about 3 or 4 more minutes. You got anything else you'd like to
testing's coming up. We got spring break. Next week is our last full week of school before spring break. We need a spring break.
Everybody. That was one of the places you always look forward to, that spring break.
Yeah, we need a spring break, when the warm weather starts hitting. I don't know what happens with human behavior, but spring fever.
Everybody wants to get out, especially when they see that sunshine.
Oh, yes, sir. So looking forward to spring break for our students, for our kiddos, but for our teachers, everyone. Hope everyone enjoys their spring break.
It's sort of like for the teachers, I know it's sort of like a reset.
Yeah, it's a reset before and it's close to the finish line. You know what I mean?
We're getting almost there.
So we'll be on spring break, not this week, but the week following. And when we get back, we got a couple weeks before testing starts. We were officially going to start testing on April 13th, but with the ice storm, the state gave districts the opportunity to start a week later if they wanted to, in order to get 5 more days of instruction before testing. All of our elementary schools in the district are going to be taking advantage of that, so they won't start testing until April the 20th.
Right.
And some of our high schools and middle schools, their schedule, they set their own schedule. Some of them are going to take advantage and start a little bit earlier. But for example, Shelbyville Central, the size of it, we're going to need every day that we can get, to get all the students testing. So I just encourage all the parents and everyone out there listening, just make sure your child gets a good night's sleep and have breakfast in the morning and have them ready to hopefully perform well on those tests. I'm not a believer everything hinges on test scores. That's just one aspect of our district. But that's how we're held accountable.
I know, and you never know how you're going to do, but I agree with you because I've took several of them when I was younger. Going to bed just a little bit early and eating that breakfast before you go makes a big difference. You wouldn't think it would.
No, but it does.
Your mind's more clear.
It is. It is. And, and there's a lot of research behind that, too. But we're very we know that our students are prepared. Our teachers, our principals have done a good job. Because we monitor their progress throughout the year.
Over the last 3 or 4 years, I know y'all have put it on the show here that the test scores in all of your locations pretty well have gone up.
Yeah, we're moving the needle in the right way. Growth in particular, we really have honed in on that. Are doing well across the board. We still have pockets, Benny. We still have schools that are still struggling in some areas, and that's where we really throw in some additional support from the central office. When schools are struggling and that needle is not moving the way it should.
Because it's hard, as you're growing your population in the school to keep the like you say, moving up.
Yeah,
because you've got influx of new kids that haven't been taught.
And I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah.
You know, it's the reality of it is that you you moving forward, you're scoring 5 as a school. But normally there's a readjustment.
Oh, yeah.
Due to new students coming in, and so you got to be prepared for that. One of the biggest things Dr. Garrett and I are proud of, that since we've been in our roles as superintendent and assistant superintendent, is that we've moved the needle for our overall district designation. Mm-hmm. We, at one point in time, years ago, we were in need of improvement, and that's not a list you want to be on.
Right.
And we've kind of stayed and hovered in that satisfactory designation level, which is okay.
Right.
The state and the federal government is saying you're doing what you need to do at a satisfactory level.
Yeah.
But we always want to achieve more. So we were able to do that. The last 2 years, we've moved from satisfactory to advancing. Yeah. And the highest level is exemplary. Yeah. And we have the needle has to move a lot to get to exemplary, but that's always going to be our goal.
Oh yeah.
If you're not shooting for the highest goal, why are you in it? You know, so. And I think we can do it.
Now, do y'all still, I know when I was going to school, like if you sort of, because I accelerated in math and history. Mm-hmm. And so they would have the teachers, because, we'd usually have 30, 40 students. Mm-hmm. So the teachers would set like me and maybe 4 or 5 other guys that were real good in that particular subject with 3 or 4 students that were not good in that subject. Yeah. And we would sort of help them, show them how to figure out the problem.
Yeah. That strategy is still in place.
Good. Because it really helped me feel good too, because I was doing good at it.
Right.
It makes you feel
and
like
able to help somebody else.
Yeah,
right?
It's helping somebody else.
And we, that type of strategy is normally called small groups.
Okay.
So it's really heavily implemented at the elementary level.
Good.
And even at the middle school level. Not so much at the high school level, but we encourage it highly at the high school level because it is an effective method if it is facilitated properly.
Right.
Because, when you're developing those small groups, you just hit it, the nail on the head there, is that you strategically are putting those kids in those small groups. Yeah. Having a high performer there with a low performer, having someone that's kind of in the middle there, and that teacher gives instructions to the whole group before you break them up into small groups, right? Yeah. And so the teacher gives the instructions. Is everyone clear with what the instructions are? Normally there is a small group leader, right? Because we want to build leadership skills with our students too. So you have a small group leader, and the key to it, even though you're breaking up to small groups, the key to it is the teacher. Yeah, walking around
and making sure,
monitoring, facilitating. If they see that the group might be struggling, redirecting them, providing some additional support. Yeah, but that is a method that's still used.
And I mean, to me, my subject that I wasn't good in was English. Mm-hmm. So when we tutored, it's like 4 or 5 there, and the claim to be 1 or 2 students that were really good in English, and it was a way of me learning more.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
but,
sir.
Math and history I was okay on.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah. History was always, I was pretty good. English. I always did pretty well in English, very well in history. Math, I had to work hard.
Oh, really?
I had to work hard in math. Yeah.
My wife still says, I don't know how you do it. I said, well, I don't know how I do it either. But it was just
right. Right.
But anyway, well, Tim, it's great to have you here.
Yes, sir.
When is your effective date as full superintendent?
June 2nd.
June 2nd.
Yes, sir.
So we're looking forward to it. I know Tammy's done a great job.
Yeah, she has.
She's had a great assistant.
Oh, I appreciate it.
And we look forward to meeting with you and having more conversations like this. And I hope you have a great day. Yeah. And I hope all the students have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining us. This is Hopkins Farm Broadcasting. All right, Chase, take her away.
You know, your eyes are a precious thing. You've got to take care of them. Looking for clear vision and hometown care you can trust? See the difference at Dr. Dale Hasty Family Eye Care, 605 North Main Street in Shelbyville, across from the U.S. Post Office. From comprehensive eye exams to helping you find that perfect pair of glasses, Dr. Hasty and his friendly team are focused on your family's vision and comfort every step of the way. Noticing changes in your eyesight? Time for that yearly checkup? Let's take care of it. 931-684-2020. Proud sponsor of the WLIJ Easter Basket Giveaway. Stop by their location today and register to win. Visit Kincaid Service Company today to experience the superior comfort of a Serta mattress. Serta has pioneered sleep innovation for more than 90 years, bringing quality products to more than 150 countries worldwide. Serta Comfort is validated by consumers with thousands of 5-star reviews and are designed and assembled in the U.S. at one of Serta's state-of-the-art facilities. Serta's award-winning mattress collections are created by providing superior comfort along with overall support and breathability. Get Serta Comfort by visiting Kincaid Service Company in Shelbyville. Online at kincaidservice.com.
Would you go with me?